Hi everyone, Elsie Jensen here. Today we are going to make some sourdough English muffin breakfast sandwiches. Then we are going to cook up some tater patties and make some homemade juice for kind of a really late brunch kind of lunch type thing. So, it's summer, we're eating late. So let's get my skillet warming up for our English muffin. So I'm going to start getting it up nice and hot. And then I'm going to prep my big skillet over here for our sausages. And we're going to put out lots of frozen sausages for them to start kind of cooking up over here. And these are going to go on for our English muffins, and then I'm sure a couple of kiddos will just eat them straight. Okay, so we're going to have those start cooking from the start. Give my hands a little quick wash. And then we're going to get our tater patties going in the oven. Now, I love tater patties. You can get them in like the freezer section. They're like the closest thing you can get to McDonald's hash browns, which is like heaven on earth. I absolutely love McDonald's hash browns. Okay, so we've got our two frozen, and I'm going to put these in the oven at the air fryer setting at 425. And these take about 20 to 25 minutes to crisp up, but you got to make sure you cook them long enough so that they get nice and crispy. And you are going to turn them halfway through. That way they really do get crisped up where they don't have to go into a deep fryer. So we've got our little tater patties here out. And then I just like to add a little bit of garlic salt to them. It gives them a bit more of a season. So we'll do a little bit right now. And then when we take them out to flip them, we'll add a little bit to the other side. Just a really light sprinkle. Okay. And now I'm going to go add these into my oven at 425 on my air fryer setting. If you don't have an air fryer setting on your oven, you could do convection bake at 425 or just a regular bake at 450. And so I'm going to pop these in here right on top, nice and hot. And then I'm going to set my timer for about 12 minutes. And then we will grab them out, flip them over, and salt them again. That way they get that nice, crunchy, crispy edge to them. That's what's going to make them delicious. Okay. We're going to cook up our sausages first. Then we're going to do kind of like an omelet, a cheese omelet to go on the sandwich. That way I can cut it up nicely. Okay, I've got my skillet nice and hot here. So I'm going to turn it down to about a 4. You don't want to cook your English muffins on a super high temperature, but you do want your skillet hot to begin with. So these are sourdough English muffins. I started cooking them up last night. I made the dough, really simple dough, just flour, milk, honey, salt, and starter. And I gave it a good, you do your stretch and folds for about an hour, and then you're going to let it rise for an hour, and then you knead it up for about 5 minutes to get that elasticity building, and then you let it rise overnight. And then I shaped these up about an hour, 2 hours ago, and then I just let them rise again, and then that's where you put the cornmeal on. But so good. I'm going to put them all kind of in the center so they warm up nicely. And the trick with English muffins is you cook them on a skillet. You don't bake them in the oven, but you cook them for about 2 to 3 minutes on each side, and that steam rises up and cooks them right through the middle, and they'll be absolutely delicious. So I'm going to make some homemade juices here. So let's start prepping up for our juices. I'm going to do a carrot apple grape, which is one of my family's favorite. And then I'm going to do a orange pineapple because I have a little bit of leftover pineapple. So let me get my carrots prepped. I'm just going to cut off the stems of them. You could technically put the stems through, but I'm going to cut them all off. I did give these a good wash earlier, but they still look a little messy. But you don't need to peel them. You don't need to do anything to your carrots. It will take care of it all. I'm just going to cut them into just easier sizes to manage. And then the same thing with your apples. If you have a little sticker on them, take that off. But you don't need to decore or de-seed them. You just need to chop them up into pieces that will go down your juicer really easily. So I'm just going to really quarter these in here. You don't need to de-seed. They'll go through right well. And I've got a Granny Smith, and then I think these are some pink ladies. So they'll be nice and sweet. And then I'm going to get my grapes here. And I'm just going to pop them off the stems. And that's okay if you get a little bit of a stem, that's fine. I'm just not going to put the whole woodsy stem through it. It would probably handle it just fine, but it's not that bad to pop these off. And this is going to be our first juice we're going to make, which is it's a favorite. I will say, when I make juices for my family, I try not to go overboard on the vegetables so that you still get the nice sweetness of the fruit. You get a little hint of carrot, but it doesn't become to where you're like, oh, I'm just drinking a carrot. And that way you kind of get everybody likes it. And then there's a couple things that I find do not juice well. Beets have such a strong flavor that they do not juice well because all it tastes like is beet. And then the other thing that doesn't really do well is sweet potatoes. It makes it taste really sweet potatoy. Let's get these, turn it down to about a 4 now. And I'm going to flip these over because these are frying up gorgeous. And there you go. We're going to let these cook up. And then I'm going to cook the eggs in my little omelet in a little bit of that sausage kind of grease to give it a nice little flavor. But let's get our juicer going now for our first set of juice. I've got my thing in. I'm going to turn it on and have it going. We're going to add in our carrots. We're going to add in some of our grapes and our apples. And the trick with juicing, here we go. I'll stop for a second. The trick with juicing, so everybody can hear, is not to force your fruits down. I tap them really lightly. If you are forcing your fruits down, what happens is it's going to shoot it into the pulp area, and you're not going to get as much juice in. So just a light push down, a light kind of let gravity do its way. Otherwise, you're going to not get the most out of your juice. Okay, let's get this up going again. We're going to put our grapes in. Put our apples. More grapes. There we go. And getting our last batch in for it. Okay, we're going to let it sit and drop down. But again, very little pushing on it because you want it to get the most juice out.
You have a question? What type of juicer is that?
This is the Breville juicer. I added it to my Amazon storefront, which the link to that is on my profile page. But it is a great juicer. I absolutely loved it. I've had a couple different juicers before. This is my favorite one because you can it has a variety of settings. I typically keep it at 1, but you can even do soft fruits in it, which is like bananas, kiwis, and mangoes, which typically are harder to juice. But you can do that in these as well. But it's a really easy cleanup. I think that's my biggest thing that I love about it is it's super easy to clean. And that's something that kind of can be a little bit tricky out of it. And it does a really good job. It just gives you pretty fine pulp. So out of our 3 apples and our grapes and our carrots, we've got a really good amount of juice, about 30 ounces of juice here, which is that's what's my kid's favorite. There. And give our sausages a little stir. And then once they've got nice browning on both sides, we'll take them out and we'll start doing our little kind of our omelet thing on it. I'm going to turn my little skillet up here just a smidge while these cook, and then we're going to see if these are quite ready for it. The first sets of my English muffins are always going to take the longest. It's just like pancakes when you're cooking on a skillet. Once your skillet's really hot, then it's going to cook great, but that first set always takes about 2 to 3 times as long as everyone afterwards. Okay, let's prep our oranges for our next one. Now, you can always leave your peel on if you want to at juicing, but I find that the orange peel gives it too much of a rindy flavor for like our liking. But if you don't mind that little bit of that bitter rind taste to it, then you can just slice up your oranges and add them in. But I like to give mine a quick peel because it doesn't take long to peel them off, but it gets rid of that rindy flavor. And I will say, fresh squeezed orange juice is really delicious. I've got some pineapple that is like we cut it up a couple days ago and I have a few bits left, but I know nobody's going to eat it. They're just going to pick the next freshest fruit. So they'll be nice and sweet to add to it. So it'll be a nice kind of tropical flavor. There we go. So I'm going to peel this off. And I will tell you, oranges, there are certain fruits that can yield a lot of liquid, and then there's some that yield not as much juice. Oranges are great. Any citrus fruit is going to be really juicy. Grapes are really juicy. Melons are really juicy. And then the firmer fruits aren't quite as juicy, but apples, I feel like an apple adds a lot of sweetness to your juices, so those are really nice. Okay, and I feel like it's summer. Juicing is just so, especially when you can get fruit for so cheap right now, it's always nice to have some fresh squeezed juice. Okay, let's get this off and peel it. Now, when these are oranges, when I typically, if I'm buying oranges at a grocery store, I want to take the orange that I feel like has the thinnest skin. Those are going to be your juiciest oranges. Oranges with thicker skins, that skin typically dries out the orange and you're going to have a more of a dry, spongy orange. So always look for the one that you can feel and you grab it. It feels thinner and it feels more squishy. That's going to give you the best orange for our thing. So I've got our 4 oranges here, and you can see this one's a nice and thin skin. So that's going to be a nice and juicy orange. Let's check over here on our sausages. They should be just about ready here. Okay, we'll grab a plate and get those off in 1 second. There we go. Look at this nice golden kind of brown edging on our English muffins. Beautiful. I'm going to turn this slightly over, and we'll have these first batch done in no time. Let's grab a plate to take. Actually, we're going to do a smaller one. And then we're going to grab this for our eggs. Because we're going to, with the omelet, we're going to scramble up our eggs first in the bowl. That always works the best. So I'm going to turn this off for a second. We're going to take our sausages out. There we go. We'll have those right here. And then I'm going to put a pat of butter in my skillet, let it start to melt. I have my skillet turned off, so when we're ready for it, I'm going to turn it back on and heat it up just a second. But I want to make sure everything kind of begins at the right timing. So for my breakfast sandwich, I'm going to do kind of like a big omelet. That way I can cut it into squares and place it on my English muffins instead of trying to make little individual eggs. I think it just works better. And although I love fried eggs on a breakfast sandwich can get messy. So I'm just going to do the omelet for it. I think it'll work out better. So let's crack up some eggs here. We're going to make a pretty big omelet here. Let's take a little break because I'm going to grab my hashed brown tater patties out of the oven real quick. Let me grab those. And then we're going to flip them over. Okay. So with these guys, remember we're halfway through. They've cooked for 12 minutes. And what we're going to do is we're just going to slide our spatula over and flip them to the other side. That way the top will get crispy and the bottom will get crispy. This is going to give you the best crunchy, crispy tater patty all over. There we go. And then I'm going to sprinkle just a smidge of garlic salt on the other side so it gets that nice kind of salty flavor on it. There we go. Just a smidge. And then I'm going to pop these back in the oven and I'm going to set my timer for 12 minutes. That way they'll cook up and crisp up nicely. Okay. Perfect. There we go. Okay, let's finish cracking up our eggs here. I'm probably going to do maybe a 10 egg omelet on this one so that I can each, sandwich will get a good amount in it.
Do you have a question? Have you ever made breakfast pizzas?
I have made breakfast pizzas. I actually have, I think, 1 or 2 videos on our profile, our page, like to link to it, that has our little breakfast pizzas before that we've made. I love breakfast pizzas. They're not really common outside of the Midwest, I find, but like going to college there, and I loved them. College had like the best breakfast pizzas, and I absolutely loved it. And Casey's gas stations, they had the best ones. I know it's kind of weird, it's a gas station, but they had really good pizzas. Okay, these are looking beautiful. We've got that nice toasty brown top on our English muffins here. I'm going to turn it down a smidge now that my skillet's nice and warmed up, and we're going to get our second batch here going. That's what I said. I said once it gets nice and hot, you're going to have they'll be at the perfect temperature and they'll cook up a bit faster. And you don't put any butter on it. You just use a hot skillet. I'm using my Hex-Clad griddle pan, which is, I think, perfect for this because it just is nice and thin, but it heats up well, and you don't have to season it like a regular skillet. Okay, let's get my omelets here. I've got my 10 eggs. I'm going to grab my fork. And I'm going to turn my skillet back on to a lower temperature, about a 4.
Yeah, comment. You have quite the sourdough collection over there.
Oh, yes, I do. Well, we just redid a sourdough starter video series for you guys all. For those who are interested, we have them posted on the link on our page. But I have like my big jar because we're a big family, so we go through a lot. I have my chocolate sourdough and then the new one. And one of them I'm going to take with me on our camping trip. So I don't expect that to make it back with us. So you got to have, always spares. But we do a lot of recipes, not just like breads, but we make a lot of discard recipes, or we've got our sourdough English muffins here. So there's just so much you can do with sourdough starter outside of just bread. And then, of course, we're always cooking for about 9 people. So it's, it just works really well, like to have a big amount. Okay.
You had a question. How many kids?
I have 5 kids, and then I cook for my parents as well. So we're always we've got a large group.
You have a sourdough follow-up. What's a discard recipe?
So we have lots of them on our page. They say them, but I have muffins, scones, cookies. What is the discard? Is when you feed your sourdough to keep the bacteria active that is needed for the fermentation and the rising of sourdough, you have to get rid of it. And so instead of throwing part of your starter away, you use it in recipes, and that's called discard. And so it actually has really good like gut healthy benefits to it. And it makes everything just taste so good. And you don't waste. There we go. Look how much faster they're cooking now. And I have them cooking on about a 3, so they kind of goes low and slow for the second part.
And someone's asking, so you have videos on how to start a sourdough starter?
Yes, I do. We just posted a new collection on there, and I believe we have a recipe card as well for our main for everybody. And so, what's nice about the starters is you don't need a lot for it. It's just flour and water. You have to use unbleached flour, but that's all you need to create your starter, and then of course time. Because you feed it every single day for about a week, and then after a week you should have about a nice active bubbly starter to work with. So it's not a hard process. It's really easy. It just takes like 30 minutes every single day until you've got it established, and then you can create so many different recipes with it. Did not put it on the right side here.
And you need bread flour.
Yeah, well, you don't have to use bread flour. It just has to be unbleached. When you're making sourdough bread, yes, you want to use the bread flour, but you can use unbleached all-purpose flour for the starter. We also have, if you're going to do the starter journey, I highly recommend you get a sourdough kit, or at least buy the jars for it, because you need a wide mouth jar, and you're going to want one that has measurements on it because it works so much better than the ones without. So you're going to want to get one of those. I have the ones I use, all of those, as you can see my little jar of collection over there. I have all of those in my Amazon storefront, and I have it like a little section called sourdough. If you really want to do it, check that out. It is really, really great. I love it. I did sourdough without having a kit, and it was much harder, and I was not as successful. But there's so many options out there. But you can definitely check it out, see if you're onto it. It makes it easier. They're not expensive, but it gives you all the tools to be successful. Like a long, skinny spatula, it is great for mixing it up. Here, I've got my omelet here. What I'm doing is, this is my kind of method for it, is I slide my spatula underneath my egg, and then I'm going to fill it in with the egg mixture. That just allows the bottom of my omelet not to get super brown, and it will allow it to cook up more evenly. So this is just a method that I've always used, and I like it. I know you could put a lid on it and you can steam your egg, but I find this way you don't have like dark brown eggs on the bottom that are crispy, because they've been the only ones getting the heat.
Any ideas for dinner?
Not yet. I'm still thinking about it. So I've got to, you know what I mean? I'm trying to get everything in place, because we leave on our camping trip next weekend. So I'm like, ooh, I've got to figure out how to use up everything in my kitchen, because we're going to be gone for 2 weeks. And you know what it is. You don't want to come back to a kitchen full of rotten food. So I've got to start thinking and getting creative this next week. We're going to slide these down a little bit more. And I'm just going to keep doing this until all of it is, you don't have any more runniness. I'm going to turn it down even lower. Also, with omelets, go low and slow. Don't try to do it super fast, or you're just going to have burnt eggs. Low and slow, that way they cook up nicely. They won't stick to your pan as much. And then you want a nice thin spatula for this, because if you have a thicker one, it just won't work as well. Okay, let that sit for a second. Let me check these out. Let me grab another one, because I stole my spatula for this.
Someone just brought up it's Friday the 13th.
It is Friday the 13th. That's funny. You know, one of my sons was born on Friday the 13th. And I will have to, why am I putting him back on there? I have to say it fits him, because he's a little troublemaker. And he was born in October on top of all of that. Just crazy. You know what I mean? But it's funny. This is, I think, the first Friday the 13th that might have happened since he was born, or what? Maybe there was another one. But it's a fun.
You have several questions. Will you be cooking live while camping?
I will be cooking live while camping, so hopefully it all goes smooth. We'll definitely do breakfast, because I always do I have a camp stove, and we always do breakfast before we head out and do our adventures. And then we'll do dinners most nights at the campsites as well. We typically do our lunches out and about, but we're going to do we'll do our campfire cooking. I've got a lot of campfire tools and I've kind of mastered the art over the years, but we'll do that. And then we're also going to just kind of show you videos of our trip. We're going to a couple of the national parks we're going to do. This year, we're going to do Indiana Dunes National Park and Voyagers National Park. And then we're going to visit Ottawa National Forest, Nicollet National Forest, and Chickamauga. I'm pretty sure I said it wrong. National Forest. So we're pretty excited. Okay, we're gonna put in our cheese on just one side here. And I'm just doing a cheese omelet here because we'll have the sausage patties go on our things. So we're gonna just let that sit and warm up before we fold it over.
You have a question? Can you use gluten-free flour for sourdough?
I have never done gluten-free flour for it. I know I've seen a couple people out there who have done it, but since we don't have any gluten allergies in here, I've never really experimented with it, so I can't really tell you. But I think there is a way, but anytime you use that, you go gluten-free, it's more, you're going into some organic chemistry there because you've got to use a mixture of things to get it to turn out right because gluten is such a huge part of bread. So it just makes it a little bit harder. So unfortunately, I have not. Okay, let's get our next juice done. We're just going to do, I told you I had some cut up pineapple already. So we're going to do our orange pineapple for this.
Angel says she makes gluten-free
sourdough. Ooh.
So
yeah, I'll have to, maybe Angel could give out some tips there. Before we blend that up, I'm going to flip my omelet here. I think we're getting pretty good. Okay, this is a really big one, so let me... Normally I'd use my slightly smaller pan for this, but there we go. Look at that. Gorgeous. And now I'm just going to turn off the heat and I'm going to let it sit and melt the rest of the cheese there for it.
Angel says almond flour.
Ah. That's the trick. I've never tried it, but I think that it would be pretty good. I do like almond flour, especially in macaroons. Those are so good. Okay, let's get these going up. We're going to add our pineapple in. There we go. We've got our pineapple orange juice, a nice little tropical blend. We got about 20 ounces out here, which is pretty good for just 4 oranges, small oranges, and a little bit of the other stuff. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, perfect. We are getting towards the end of our thing. So I'm going to pop my, while those are toasting right there, I'm going to pop my last little sausages back in here just to warm them up a little bit. That's the beauty with sausages is they keep really well, so they'll warm up, but that egg is going to already have that melty cheese on it. And then I hear my oven beeping. There's my oven mitt. So I'm going to grab my crispy hash browns out. And then we should be ready to serve up. Woo, that was steamy. But look at these gorgeous, crispy hash brown tater browns. They're so good. I will say these you can just buy in the freezer section at your grocery store, but they are awesome. My kids absolutely love them. Okay. Let's show you how we're going to serve up our breakfast today. So let me get this set up. I'm going to pull this out of the way. And we'll also get some glasses for our juices. Okay, so I kind of like to do my breakfast sandwiches, well, I do my English muffins 2 ways. I mean, you've got the classic with strawberry jam, so we'll make some with that. If I can open it. Now you guys get to see my lovely trick. So if you aren't good at opening jars, get a butter knife, flip your jar over, stick your butter knife in until you can just pop an air pocket in there, and it will loosen up. There we go. Once you do that, it comes right off. It's a hack, especially as you get older. I feel like I can't open any jars now, and I'm not even that old. I'm only 37, but for some reason, jars elude me now. So let's do our beautiful one. So I'm going to cut it open. I'm going to take a cooler one so they're not so hot to handle. Whoop. But look at the inside of our English muffin, sourdough. So you see that beautiful crumb on it, just absolutely gorgeous. So we're going to put a little bit of butter and jelly on this one. This one's just going to be your plain Jane one, but I will say butter and jelly on this. So good. And of course, we'll use the strawberry jam on here. So we've got our first little little English muffin with a little bit of jelly on here. There we go. Beautiful. And put a little bit on both sides. And now the next one is going to be our breakfast sandwich. So we're going to cut this guy open. And look again, beautiful crust on it, just gorgeous. And this is one where we're going to assemble. So I'm going to use, I'll just put my sausage patty on. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to cut kind of a triangle or a square of your omelet here. And then you just place your omelet on there. And this is going to give you that cheese in it. And then look, you've got this gorgeous, oh, the cheese is even dripping out. Gorgeous breakfast sandwich. And then we'll have a crispy taters as our little side, but just look at this gorgeous meal. And then my kids will have the option to have our pineapple orange juice. So look how beautiful it is, freshly squeezed with our juicer. And then we have our carrot apple juice. Again, freshly, and grape, carrot apple grape. But pretty easy, quick, kind of weekday brunch for the summer here. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us here today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I try to do live cooking shows every single day, show you what we're cooking for our family, and hopefully teach you guys something along the way. Again, we do upload all of our videos to the link on our page, so if you ever want to recreate any of our recipes at home, you can just go to that link, search for the title of the video, and cook along with me again. We also have an Amazon storefront where you can buy any of the cooking gadgets that you saw here today. So I've added my juicer in there as well. I've got my pans and my spatulas and all that jazz. So you can check that out. I do make a small commission from that, but again, it's here to help you, show you what I'm using in the kitchen. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.